Okay, let's get started. I'm here only for 5 minutes scene setting, so you don't have to tolerate me for more than 5 minutes. We're going to talk about effective implementation of SMART, or what role SMART plays in effective management of protected and conserved areas. The research shows only 24% of world's protected areas have effective management. So we do need effective management. And especially from the continent that I come from, this slide shows the challenges of protected areas. There are more people living inside the circle than outside the circle. And inside the circle, we have some of the most biodiverse ecoregions. So you can imagine the pressure biodiversity or protected areas are facing in my region. So what does effective implementation means for SMART? It's adaptive management. To me, effective protected area management is about doing three things: saving people from animals, saving animals from people, and saving people from people. And for that, you need to have good information coming to you. And that's what SMART does. It provides you the information that you use for further planning and adapt your strategies. And the example you see in the graph, if you do it effectively, it shows the result in terms of wildlife recovery. In this particular case, Royal Manas National Park, where the tiger numbers increase from 5 to 74. This is an example. What happens when you don't use SMART effectively, or when you use SMART stupidly? When you use it only as a database. If you want to use it only as a database, I suggest use Excel sheet. It's much easier to manage. Here is an example from two countries. You are using SMART for 10 years, but if you don't use it effectively, the information that comes out of SMART, you don't use it for effective management or adaptive management, it's not going to make a difference. It's like you go to a doctor, gives you a medical report, tells you that your cholesterol is high. Now you have to do something about it. Doctor is not going to do anything. He can advise you, you need to take action. That's what SMART does. It tells you where your gaps are, where you need to change your strategy. One more thing which is absolutely critical here is enabling conditions. So you might have the best trained people to do SMART. You might have all the resources you need for SMART, but you may not have the right enabling conditions. For example, the capacity is there only for software people, but park managers do not understand what information they need for SMART. Second, you have the funkiest tech, but rangers don't have boots. Then it's not going to work. Working conditions have to be addressed. Number three, SMART is going to tell you, even whatever system you are using, which tells you, okay, you have a problem there, but you don't have a petrol truck to go there. So you need to have resources and people to respond to the situation. And finally, the political situation, because the success of conservation depends on, well, at least in my continent, the three key ingredients for success, conservation success, is communities, people, and politicians. If you don't have those three things, it's not going to work. So with that, I hand over to Drew, who's going to share some information.
So I've got the easy bit today. What we're going to do is we're going to hear from different speakers from around the world who are going to come up and talk about their experience of doing this. And then after that, we'll give everyone a break, because we know everyone needs coffee after that good lunch. And then we'll come back and have a Q&A from that. So, Kuenley, do you want to come up to start with from WWF Bhutan? Oh, Jingpa. So, first of all, we'll start off hearing from Bhutan.
So I will just go through the presentations, and all the informations are reflected in the presentations. It's not like bullet points, so everything is explained, so I will just run down. So this is effective management through the use of SMART in Bhutan. So this is the history of SMART in Bhutan in 2013. As you see, we have piloted it in Royal Manas National Park. In 2014, we began intensive training on the use of software and also the data collection process. And in 2015, government adopted the SMART to be rolled out nationally. And in 2018, we have formed SMART core team who works on data model and who also assigns roles and responsibilities of SMART implementations at different stages of authority. And in 2020, then we developed and endorsed this implementation protocol, and in 2021, we fully used all the 24 protected areas, all the 10 protected areas and 14 divisional offices in Bhutan have started using the SMART. But all these 24 offices are within Department of Forest and Park Services. And in 2013, and now this is ongoing actually, so we are using it nationally. So this is the flow of adaptive management with the use of SMART. On the ground, we have the team leader who is responsible collecting data, and then team leader submits the data to the SMART focal of patrol sector. So we normally call it range office. And above the range office, at the division level, at the park level, at the conservation area level, we have chief forest officer accompanied by a SMART focal in his office. So who is actually supposed to supposed to tell everything about the SMART to him, and then he assesses what to do. And from chief forest officer, and then we have the director at the top, and the flow. How do the SMART go up to the top level at a national scale? Is first team leader collects the patrol data, and then it goes to range office. That is usually a patrol sector, and then through the patrol sector it goes to chief forest officer. Through chief forest officer, it goes to the director. The raw data of the raw patrol data goes up to director, and at the director level, he also has the SMART focal who know how to operate the SMART softwares and who know how to do analysis on SMART, and he presents the cross conservation area report to director, and from director what comes is the patrol plan for the next month based on the report of that. And the cross-conservation area report comes back to chief forest officer, and then chief forest officer strategically plan involving these people, these peoples. Here we involve team leader, then the range SMART focal, basically range officer, and then the SMART focal with chief forest officer, and then we do the planning. And this is how the SMART cycle is being completed within national level. And effective management in SMART context is SMART tell us actually about what, then where, and how many. These are about the resources. What are the biodiversity resources we have, and where are they, and how many of them are there, and what are the threats for them. Then SMART monitors all these things, and it gives a very comprehensive report. And SMART is a tool that helps to do all these things, actually. Then what does SMART do to support effective management? Yeah, I have just explained it. This is the result at the right side. So effectiveness of SMART in protected area monitoring, and this is how we do the patrol planning in with SMART software. In this context, here. So I am supposed to travel 50 kilometers. So here I have completed the target. Actually, I have traveled 107 kilometers. So the target is complete. But I haven't completed the area. I haven't gone to the area where I'm supposed to go. You see, it's just a cross mark there. So you can see where I'm supposed to go and where I've been. So this is what SMART tells. So this is the result at last. What we get means, it says you haven't achieved your patrol plan. So next, effectiveness information. So this is how SMART should work actually. So this analysis is all being done by the software itself. And here the map result is how it shows. And this is how SMART should work. And to get real-time data from the patrol where there is no network connection, so we have started using a technology called Sigfox. So this is a Wi-Fi mesh actually, and it's supposed to send this SMART data to the SMART Connect actually. So this is how we have constructed the site. So this is the report that the patrol data that we get from the SMART Connect with the use of Sigfox technology. And this is how we process the patrol data. So patrol effort and poaching threat in SMART. So this was explained earlier also. So here on the right side of the map we have, if you look at the southern border, so there is lots of illegal activities. The red one shows the illegal activities, and with intensive patrol, the right upper side of map. So this is the patrol effort actually. So we did all this patrolling, and if you look at the next map, then you see, especially see at the southern foothills. So we did intensive patrolling, and this is how SMART curbs the illegal activities. And this is, last year we got instructions saying that government just want to lift the forestry check process within the Bhutan. So we instantly went into the, got inside the SMART report, and we have presented this report to the government, and it showed actually lots of threats around threats where there is forestry check process, around the forestry check process. Then the government withdrew that instruction, and we are instructed to retain the check post. And after 1 month of this, the other map shows what was the result being achieved through the SMART. So some of the achievement through the use of SMART. So Bhutan has increased the 27% of tiger number. Now we have 131 tiger. So this is the message from the minister when we were establishing the tiger report. So he's saying here this success is because of use of technologies like SMART. So we also achieved, we are approved cat sites now. So these are some of the great achievement that we got through the use of SMART. And here, so Royal Manas National Park in Bhutan is awarded the Conservation Excellence Award. So these are the achievements we got through the SMART. So here we got Rangers Award as well. This is all I have. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And next we're going to hear from Sharon in Malaysia.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to showcase about, just next, how SMART implementations in Sabah, Malaysia. First, I think everyone should know where's the locations about Malaysia. Malaysia is separate by two continents. One is connected to Thailand, another side is at Borneo. Borneo, we have Sabah and Sarawak. Why I need to specifically mention about this, because you can see that how other countries can adopt the national implementation, national adoptions, but how Malaysia is going to be very challenging. As you can see, this is exactly the Malaysia. We have the peninsula, and then we have Sabah and Sarawak at the Borneo. And for everyone information, because of the historical of the independence of the country, we consider 3 big states. So Sabah, Sarawak join Peninsula Malaysia and form Malaysia. There goes that we have wildlife matter is a state matter. So for Peninsular Malaysia, we have Perhilitan, who actually manage all the wildlife issues there. And as for Sarawak, we have Sarawak Forestry Corporation, and Sabah is Sabah Wildlife Department. That means that we have 3 different legislations for Malaysia in terms of managing wildlife. So we have Perhilitan is having a Wildlife Act. Sarawak, we have an ordinance, and as in Sabah, we have an enactment. And look at this. This is exactly zoom into Sabah landscape now. We have close to 3.6 million hectares of forest reserve. This forest reserve, the uniqueness is managed by different agencies. We have Sabah Wildlife Department. They have Wildlife Sanctuary. They also co-manage together with Sabah Forestry Department on one of the wildlife reserve. We have Sabah Forestry Department. Basically, all the dark green color belongs to forestry departments. In the past, there are 2 categories. One is totally protected area, the dark green, and those light green is actually logging forest management unit. It can go for logging and ITP. And we also have Sabah Parks here. This Sabah Parks agency actually manage all the national park in state park in Sabah. So we have those Kinabalu, the most famous one, Mount Kinabalu. We have a Crocker Range, and we also have several marine park. We have one gazetted close to 1 million hectare of marine park in Sabah. And we also have one Sabah Foundation. Sabah Foundation, under Sabah Foundation, okay, it's a little bit of historical, close to the south of Sabah, where the famous Danong Valley, where the Prince William used to visit before. Danong Valley, Imbak Canyon, and Maleo Basin, 3 iconic, they are going to apply for the World Heritage Site. It's actually managed by Sabah Foundation. So this particular Sabah Foundation, they have other people, entity sitting on Sabah forestry land and manage the wildlife and carry out the conservation work. So looking into the uniqueness and the complicated of it, so we have close to 3.6 hectares, millions of forest reserve, and then we also have close to 1 million hectares of marine park. So all this complicated turn it into the uniqueness on how we actually implementing SMART in Sabah. Not to say that we have other NGO who works at specific areas assisting the government agency in implement the SMART as well. So by that, first SMART introduction was in 2013 when the SMART is still in version 1. There's nothing on SMART mobile. It's just basically ranger go out and patrol. But with WWF still think that this particular for me, is a spatial and data-basis reporting tool is very important for the poacher and important for the government agencies to focus their efforts as well as the resources. So here comes that now currently, and one thing uniqueness about Sabah is, in the past when SMART developed, it's about tiger, the iconic species. Sabah don't have tiger. All the tiger in Malaysia, in Peninsular Malaysia. So what we have here is those game species, which is under Sabah Wildlife Department legislations, hunting permit can be given, but not in totally protected area. And also we have like bunting and as well as other pangolin as well. So because of this, it takes us a long time, long effort to actually encourage the government to work on this to implement SMART. They see the usefulness of it because from time to time when their officer or ranger leave the position, all the information go together with the ranger. No one else knows, and except in the document or report, in a file in the cabinet, people need to go through it. For example, new director, and then they want to know where's a hotspot. You have to rely on the officer on the ground to tell them and update them. And whether the data updated or not, no one knows whether patrols carry out or is it old data. So because of that, they see the importance of it, and then they also feel that this is somehow, it's open source, and then they want to implement it. But imagine that in the past, SMART 1.0, there's nothing called SMART Mobile. So it means it's really resource depends on the ranger who collect the data, and we seriously need a person who actually key in all the data and analyze it. even though the government in 2014, like for example, Sabah Forestry Department saying that, yes, okay, we would like to take 2 forest reserves to pilot it. Here comes our challenges when the rangers are not ready. They have to fill up the journal. In the past, they just need to go out and patrol and come back and tell their boss, okay, patrol this road to this road, and then no poaching file. And a form you fill up, that's it. Now you have to key in data, write journal. It's not an easy job for them, but at least we go through that path. And comes to, okay, challenges, I don't want to go into that first later on. Database, all the data we collected all this year for the past 10 years is actually used to, which is finally come to a big picture now. Recently in Malaysia, we have established a wildlife crime unit under the Royal Malaysia Police. So police actually lead this wildlife crime enforcement. And therefore, through this, all this past year database was actually sent to them for them to develop a focused patrol plan. And then we also cover both terrestrial and marine and also cyber patrolling. With the advancements of the SMART, we managed to use the SMART mobile to capture all the cyber crime. And as well, yeah. Okay, last challenges. So I think I captured, okay, I need to really recap a few challenges that we met now. First thing is that the support system, actually the government, the NGO, as well as whoever user need. Actually, we need a solutions to all the errors found, especially in the SMART mobile, the latest gadget. Timely and data accuracy, because this is things that are always being challenged by government, because we are allowed hunting, but if the data was not accurate, whether to show that this hunting happens at the border, outside or inside, that is something challenges. And then sustainability and career development for the ranger. You train an officer to do this SMART. And then the director says that in order for these officers going up skilled from their career, they need to try other stuff. So how we to ensure that people, the sustainability of it, and then network coverage to get real-time petrol data, and also inadequate budget for equipment, and especially the Smart Connect. And then we went through a series for the past 10 years from training people on doing SMART until we going into a mentoring, a dedicated person, a dedicated team. That's it, thank you.
Well done, Sharon. Thank you very much. So we're going to hand over to Sibylla to hear about work in the Arctic.
Hello? Yeah, I rather stand here than running around. Just briefly, I have 7 minutes, I was told, to go through some of the implementation. This was one of the first SMART implementations in the Northern Hemisphere, actually, and it's still very, very challenging. You guys in the South are much further along than we are. Human polar bear conflict, there's a range state agreement since 1973, and in the past it was focused mainly on hunting issues, trophy hunting and commercial hunting, but in 2009, the countries really focused more on climate change, and with it, polar bears on land and human-wildlife conflict. So standardized monitoring of where and when expect conflicts resulting in accelerated climate change was a focus, and also then a recommended method of how to reduce the conflict. So the range states agreed on a comprehensive joint monitoring program called the Polar Bear Human Information Management Systems, called PBIMS. So in the beginning, it was really like an Excel sheet or in Access with a lot of problems of data sharing of sensitive information involved. And so in 2011, we started saying, okay, we can use SMART for the implementation, but in the Arctic, it's very difficult to communicate with communities. You cannot go and do training more than maybe once a year in many of those locations. So in the beginning, it really didn't work to use SMART, especially since it wasn't used online to download from the App Store. So just a few examples of what's happening with communities. More and more bears spend on land. And so we're trialing and testing conflict mitigation measures, and to exchange that information, the range states agreed to exchange best practices via monitoring. So the main activities we do there is polar bear patrols and the fencing issues and education, of course. The range states did then agree, and we facilitated via the range states agreement and a conflict working group the standardized protocols. We set up the monitoring systems for each of the country governments and piloted it in each of the countries. So just a few pictures of, we have translated all the protocols that used to be on paper for the phone. One thing that was a real landmark, I think, is that the standardized way of the reports that each of the 5 countries in the Arctic have agreed upon, what they need for management, and so the protocol indicators for what has to be monitored on the ground were agreed. We have created a smart connect with each of the conservation areas for the different countries. And now I come to the challenges. We have a lot of challenges that we are still not beyond the pilot. Even after the 5 years, we've set up all the systems, but the actual translation into regional-wide monitoring is still a huge challenge. And so the old systems still prevail, and in some cases, we have the standardized protocol, but the connections are so bad that we just have to call them via WhatsApp, ask them of all the monitoring, and then we enter it in the larger cities into the system. So it's really the connection with internet is still so bad that we cannot use it, even because even if they download it on their computer, we would get it maybe once a year to send us a stick via the ship that comes back. So communication is still bad, the bandwidth. Training is a huge problem. Staff turnover in those government agencies we work over is 2 to 3 years, and so just as you have somebody really comfortable with SMART, they leave. And they leave out of the region, usually from the Arctic to the lower regions, so for example in Canada and US, and so they're lost to the system. So we don't have standard staff yet in all of the government agencies, and that's definitely a challenge for us. Logistical challenge also is just, like I said, the in-person training, and I think somebody said it, the rangers or the people, the community members, for example, from the patrols get so frustrated when they use the smart mobile and it's not working, and they can't get anybody to help them fix it because it's such a remote location. So the training of how we do that in remoteness, we still haven't managed that problem, actually. Staff capacity, so no smart focal points in the country agencies. Some of the NGOs have helped, and we have some good pilots, like North Carolina Zoo, like with Nunavut Wildlife Management Board, but it's the small examples that we haven't translated into a larger adoption. And data security is still a concern. Especially in the US, that was one of the main things that the US Fish and Wildlife Service raised to us, that they have data concerns of how the data is stored and used and accessed by others that use the same system. We have the government of Norway has now put Smart Connect on their server, so we're hopeful that will be a good example as one of those pilots within the Arctic that will convince the other governments of regional adoption. And the software, until recently, like I said, it wasn't able to remotely install. And in many of the northern countries, it was iOS, so we were waiting for the Apple version of Smart, and that caused a lot of delays. We found also that the use of offline maps on Smart Mobile is still a big problem in those remote areas of needing to develop better rendering on the phone. So just some of a few challenges. I think hearing how long it's taken in other countries to really effectively implement it. So I'm still 5 years in, and I'm hopeful that we'll make a lot of progress in the next 5 years. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Isabella. So we're going to have one more conversation. We'll hear from Kenya next and hear from East Africa. After that, we're going to have a tea and coffee break, and then we'll come back for updates after and further discussion and questions.
Okay, thank you. Now let's focus about East Africa. This is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And maybe I can give you a little brief about it. So the 3 countries, this is where now adoption of SMART hasn't been easy, because now we are dealing with the governments, and the ones who are embracing this tool are the community conservancy. Despite we have been having engagements all over, this is Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, it is still the community conservancy that are coming up to embrace the tool. But that one hasn't also, not that WWF hasn't done something concerning SMART. We have been having those discussions, and lucky enough, until last year, at least we have got some leeway on how we progress with our work. So we have some key lessons that maybe we have learned from that. And this has been like, we sell the idea, they get the idea, and they try to see, okay, how they can also try to actualize the idea. But again, there's that, the aspect of the management, which is so crucial in that, because you get now in Kenya, like, for example, Masai Mara, where we have 23 conservancies in that national reserve. It's not an easy thing, like, to convince them again on this tool to use it, because we have different partners, again, who are working on the same landscape. But again, somebody will ask you, maybe you're saying SMART, another partner comes, says another one. So there's that going on. And then another thing is about the capacity, because all this area where we see the community conservancy are working, you expect that there's high number that the personnel who are working, also the rangers, most likely you get many are not that have education. Maybe you get quite a number have challenges. So when you come with this idea of the tool, digitizing tool, so you'll get a certain percentage not able to pick it up well. But that one again hasn't not that SMART cannot work. We have gone to the discussion until we are able to some of the community conservancy to translate to them so the data model so that they can use to collect the data. The collaboration with other partners also has been success to these areas again, because you find where WWF works, we also have other partners like the WCS also who are coming in and maybe help also in the training or maybe chip in and also facilitate some of the workshops. This can't be achieved without that collaboration also with others. What also we learn on the 3 that East Africa, yes, we say SMART, but all these areas if you visit, they are lacking champions, because you get people employed, yes, like they have different roles, but again, if you task this person again on the same tool, so you'll get, there will be like a lot of work. So some things will not be achieved at the right time. So what we foresee that after that survey we did, we see that maybe we need to have even these SMART champions in these sites that maybe they're embracing in it. Training led by the NGOs, yes, this has been ongoing. And for example, Kenya, we did 2022, we had a big workshop where regional workshop for SMART, where 56 participants came, and they were from 20 countries who did a SMART in Kenya. That was Machakos County, and it was really good. And since then, it's when now we can say at least all the SMART sites around Kenya now have started seeing the importance of this. We also had the Kenya Wildlife Service who came on board, and now the discussion we are having, maybe soon for us in Kenya, the KWS will want also to have this on the board because of the integration that is coming on. Of course, we have been having the data security. This has been the core, because now you get, if you have this discussion or about the Smart Connect, this is where we usually have so many discussions with the stakeholder. It's not an easy thing. I remember we have been to the office with the Drew and the team, and we have been told, okay, Smart is okay, but where our data is going to be stored, where? So you get this question with the stakeholder is not easy. It's not only in Kenya, it's the same again also in Tanzania. So it's a crucial thing that again derails us back not to implement on this. But you get, if you get maybe community conservancy, it is easier for them. But again, you know, there are certain parks or region, you can't work with the community conservancy. You need also the engagement with the stakeholders. So how do we go about this? It's a big discussion between the three. This is Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, about the data security. So this is the battle where we have also us, and again with the SMART partnership, about our stakeholder in the East Africa concerning the data security. If this will not be answered well, so for them they feel like there are some people who might get into the server and go away with their data. So that one is what now derails us from that. And again, we also have all connect servers are physical. This what means that you get, even if they have their local server, but it's not only for SMART. They have different things that connect to it. And again, you know, with the SMART, if you have like so many channels on it, you might likely get some stuck on it because there are so many data streaming in and will conflict with the server. So it means that the data will not be streaming at the right time. SMART, again, with that, again, we have demonstrated the progress to date. So the update that we have from the East Africa is that from Community Conservancy in Kenya, that 48 sites now are using SMART. These are community. None is from the Kenya Wildlife Service, but in the Kenya coast, that is Mombasa, Malindi, Watamu, we are working with the Marine KWS, who are also embracing on those 3 protected sites. Our next big discussion is going, we are planning to have a very big workshop in the coast concerning the SMART. So what we were told as WWF is how best can we have this discussion so that the coast wants to roll it out to all the protected area, but using one data model system. So if you get back to the terrestrial area, it's another discussion going at the headquarters, Nairobi, that how best also can we have one data model for all our parks, leave alone the community conservancy. So you have like 2 discussions that are coming up. But again, also in Tanzania, we have got good news that also government has started accepting that this is the way to go. So we also have another discussion for it, like for them to accept the connect, because we want all this system to be online. Uganda, the same. So it's our humble prayer that maybe before the year ends, we could able now to have East Africa to have at least that national adoption and have all these 3, because the community conservancy are doing a great job, but we are missing the bit of the support from the national, which again can help maybe on some certain areas, because this wildlife usually move to different parts, and we have connectivity. All these countries are connected. We can't say in Kenya that this wildlife is not is coming from Tanzania, that it means it has a tag, because they don't know that, but they are freely moving. So that's what we are hoping maybe by the end of this year, we'll be able to achieve that. Thank you.